Good day guys, my name is Ben and today I have something really exciting to share with you. I'm gonna be unboxing Waveshare's Game Hat that works with Raspberry Pi 3, Raspberry Pi 2, Raspberry Pi 0W and 0. A while ago I reviewed this little guy. While I love the form factor, there were so many drawbacks with this one. Like for 50 bucks that I spent, the emulation quality wasn't great even after a couple of system installs and stuff like that. The screen isn't great and the left and right shoulder buttons are really crappy. So at the time I've been saying that you could do much better with Raspberry Pi in terms of emulation for less than 50 bucks, but for achieving something out of 50 bucks you need to really know how to do DIY, and you need to be really good with electronics, and a lot of people don't like soldering and stuff like that. For people who are not comfortable with soldering, I think Waveshare has come up with a really nice product. They were kind enough to send me one of this unit for review, but the opinions are of my own, and they are not reviewing the video before I post it on YouTube. So let's do a quick unboxing today, and we'll do a quick overview, and then in the future videos we'll do further testing and proper review and comparisons with some of the other stuff that I have made in the past or I have owned. So let's get started. Nicely packaged. In the box we got the game hat itself, some screws and some plastic. Get the box out of the way. So that's the unit itself. It's got a 3.5-inch IPS display. So that's the unit itself. That's the front grill. It plugs in straight into GPIO. Takes one of these 18650 battery cells. Now you can potentially recycle it from old laptop battery or portable battery chargers and stuff like that, or you can just order a brand new from your favorite internet website, AliExpress or eBay or whatever. Onto the unit itself, we have the analog stick. So they haven't provided a proper D-pad with this one, but have opted for an analog stick for some reason. 4 face buttons, your A, B, X and Y's, starts and select button, couple of speakers in the front, and left and right shoulder buttons at the top. Now this left and right shoulder buttons are really tiny, but they are clicky and responsive, so they feel much better straight off than Retrogame console. And yeah, you can hear the click as well. The face buttons are pretty clicky. They looks like they kind of the off-the-shelf buttons that come in a lot of DIY kits, and this little cap at the top, but the buttons feel responsive. The good thing about this is that you can order some other colors if you don't like the green and the blue. Maybe make it like a SNES style buttons, or should I say Super Famicom style buttons. You should be able to order these caps into different colors. It shouldn't be a problem. Now let's put a battery and a Raspberry Pi together. At the moment I'm just installing some drivers that are needed onto my image, and it should be good to go. Alright, so I'm back and I have a pre-built image written on the 64 GB SD card. I've just installed the drivers. If you need any help with drivers, check out the video made by ETA Prime. I think it's a pretty good video, and the instructions on the PDF fairly straightforward as well. So the Raspberry Pi 3 should go in like this. So your GPIO pins at the edge, and your HDMI port should be facing the other HDMI port on the game hat. Just gonna press a little bit. Now it's in place. Put the HDMI connector These HDMI connectors can be a little bit hard. Just be careful to not push the screen, otherwise you might damage the screen itself. Alright, so Raspberry Pi is in place. Putting the 18650 battery cell. Now please double check that you got the polarities right. Got the negative and positive on here, and I'm gonna match it up with the negative and the positive on the game hat. Right, and if we turn on, see if anything happens. The light turns on. The good thing about Waveshare's Game Hat is that you got 4 LED indicators that shows you the battery level. So 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. I've got the image working, as you can see, fairly straightforward. There's no sound at the moment, but let's see if I can increase the sound at all. Yeah, so it has already detected the gamepad, and I'm gonna press A button on it. Now it's just the standard configuration: down, left, right, start, select, A, B, X, Y, left shoulder, right shoulder, and I'm gonna skip the rest. And hit OK. I want to test the sound, if the sound works. It's really hard to look into the camera viewfinder where I can't see anything, but the screen is really good. Like, the screen is very good quality. It's got nice colors to it, and it's very bright. In fact, it's bright, that's why I can't see it properly on the viewfinder, or my camera is just doing a very bad job. Alright, so as you heard, we have the sound now. It was just a one line of code that I had to add to the text config file, just to force audio through the HDMI, and the audio worked fine. So it wasn't a problem at all from the Game Hat. It was just an issue with the Raspberry Pi config. So in this image I've got 64 GB micro SD card, so it's pretty decent collection of games on this that came pre-built. It's running on a Raspberry Pi 3, so the limitations of Raspberry Pi 3 are obvious, like it can't do Sega Dreamcast, or only do few Nintendo 64 games, but up to PlayStation 1 it should be fine to emulate on this. Just while we are here, really quickly, let's fire up a Sega 32X game, Afterburner, which was a classic game that I tried to test on this little fella here, and it failed miserably. As you can see, this one is running at full speed. As you can see, I suck at this game, but it's running absolutely fantastic. 60 frames, no problems at all, really fast. I'm gonna get out of this game. The buttons feels really nice. One complaint that I have is the analog stick that can get a bit used to. I mean, it's not your usual D-pad, so it's gonna take some time for me to get used to. The travel on the analog stick is quite a lot, so when you are on the extreme side of one, so like right at the top, then going to the bottom takes a bit of a time, rather than just rocking your thumb to with the D-pad to get it really quickly. So that's a bit of an issue for now, but I'll see as I use more and get used to it whether I'm able to compensate for it or not. Some games should really work well with the analog stick, like I'm thinking something like let me see if I can find a Game Gear game. Game Boy, Game Gear, and I'm looking for Alien Syndrome. So this game is very hard to play on a D-pad, and I hate playing it on my other Raspberry Pi with a SNES controller. It's not really nice. Let's see how well that works. Let me just focus on the screen itself. Start the game. Yep, so this game works reasonably well with the analog controller. The analog controller works a little bit better on games like this, but not superbly, I think. That's what I'm trying to get to. Now the volume on this thing is really loud, so just to demonstrate, I have the volume on I have volume on 10% and you can still hear it, but if I bump up the volume, see how loud the volume is? And just get off that. So that's the volume, as you could hear. It's really loud. For games that require very precision control, I don't think the analog stick is a great idea. So that's something I'm gonna mention definitely, because the travel that is required to make an action is quite a lot, and that kind of stuffs up the timing. So yeah, a bit of a bummer. It's not a great outcome, but otherwise the unit itself is pretty good, and the analog stick is the only complaint that I can make at the moment. So that's it for a relatively quick unboxing video of the Game Hat. I'm planning to do a more in-depth review after I use it for a long time and see how it looks and feels and plays over the time. I'll also compare the screen quality with some of the other screen options that a typical DIY sort of uses, either a SPI screen, and I've done a couple of videos on those, or an analog screen, or one very similar made by Waveshare HDMI screen as well. See how different those screens are compared to this one. This screen is absolutely fantastic on this unit. I don't think you can get a better screen for a DIY unit. That's it for now. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe, and stay tuned for future videos on this. Thank you.